Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. Imagine a killer so ordinary, so invisible, that he lived among thousands of people without raising suspicion. For years, young women kept disappearing in Washington state. Their bodies were later found near rivers, forests, and highways. Police were chasing a ghost. No fingerprints. Witnesser. No solid evidence. But the truth was even more terrifying. The man behind these murders was a quiet truck painter, a neighbor, a husband, and he would later confess to killing dozens of women. This is the chilling story of Gary Ridgway, the man the world came to know as the Green River Killer. Birth and troubled childhood. Gary Ridgway was born on February 18, 1949, in Salt Lake City. His family later moved to Seattle, where Gary grew up. From an early age, his childhood was deeply troubled. Gary's mother was known to be extremely controlling. She humiliated him and dominated his life. Many psychologists later believed that his relationship with his mother had a deep psychological impact on him. Gary struggled in school. His IQ was below average, and he often had difficulty concentrating. In his teenage years, disturbing behavior started appearing. At the age of 16, Gary stabbed a young boy in the woods. Luckily, the victim survived, but the attack revealed something dark inside him. Gary was also known to have an unhealthy obsession with prostitutes. This obsession would later turn deadly. Early adult life. After finishing school, Gary joined the United States Navy. He served during the late 1960s and spent time in Vietnam. Even there, he frequently visited sex workers. After leaving the Navy, Gary returned to Washington state. He worked as a truck painter at a company called Kenworth Truck Company. His co-workers described him as quiet, shy, and extremely ordinary. No one suspected that this quiet worker would become one of the most dangerous serial killers in American history. The beginning of the murders. The killings began in the early 1980s. Gary targeted vulnerable women. Most of his victims were runaways or sex workers. These women often disappeared without immediate police attention. Gary would drive around in his pickup truck, looking for victims along highways. Once he found a target, he offered them money or a ride. Then he would take them to isolated locations. His main method of killing was strangulation. He often strangled victims using his bare hands. Sometimes he used clothing or ligatures. After killing them, he dumped their bodies in forests, rivers, and remote areas. Many bodies were found near the Green River. This is how the killer got his infamous nickname, the Green River Killer. The discovery of the bodies. In 1982, police discovered multiple bodies in the Green River area. Soon, the number kept increasing. The investigation quickly became one of the largest murder investigations in U.S. history. The King County Sheriff's Office formed a massive task force. Hundreds of detectives worked on the case. Thousands of suspects were investigated, but the killer remained free for years. Before we continue with this shocking story, if you enjoy true crime stories like this one, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you want more deep investigations into real criminal cases, leave a comment below and tell us which case we should cover next. Now, let's continue the story, because the truth behind the Green River Killer is even darker than anyone imagined. How Gary avoided suspicion. One of the most terrifying things about Gary Ridgway was how normal he appeared. He was married multiple times. He attended church. He worked a regular job. Neighbors described him as polite and quiet. Police even interviewed him once in the 1980s. But there was not enough evidence to arrest him. Gary also took steps to avoid detection. He often returned to the crime scenes to move bodies. He sometimes dumped multiple victims in the same location. This confused investigators and made it harder to track the murders. The hidden secret: for nearly 20 years, the killer remained free. But technology was changing. In the late 1990s, DNA testing became more advanced. Investigators re-examined old evidence. Tiny traces of DNA were recovered from several victims. This DNA finally led them to one man. In 2001, police arrested Gary Ridgway. The arrest shocked the entire country. The quiet truck painter was actually one of the most prolific serial killers in American history. During interrogation, Gary eventually confessed. But what he revealed was horrifying. He admitted to killing at least 48 women. Investigators believe the real number could be even higher, possibly 70 or more victims. Confession and investigation. Gary described how he selected victims. He said prostitutes were easy targets. He believed they would not be quickly reported missing. His killings were fast and brutal. Most victims died within minutes of strangulation. Gary showed investigators several dump sites where he had left bodies years earlier. The investigation recovered additional remains. Each discovery confirmed the terrifying scale of his crimes. The court trial. In 2003, Gary Ridgway faced trial in King County. Prosecutors wanted the death penalty, but Gary offered a deal. He agreed to reveal the locations of more victims. In exchange, he would receive life imprisonment instead of execution. The court accepted the plea deal. Gary pleaded guilty to 48 counts of murder. It became one of the largest confession cases in criminal history. The victims' families. During sentencing, families of the victims spoke in court. Many described the pain of losing daughters, sisters, and mothers. Some cried. Some shouted in anger. But one moment shocked everyone. A victim's father told Gary that he forgave him. Gary, who had shown almost no emotion, suddenly began to cry. It was one of the most emotional moments of the trial. The final sentence. In 2003, the judge sentenced Gary Ridgway to 48 life sentences without the possibility of parole. Today, he remains imprisoned at Washington State Penitentiary. He will spend the rest of his life behind bars. The story of the Green River Killer reminds us of something terrifying. Sometimes the most dangerous monsters don't look like monsters at all. They look like ordinary people. Neighbors, co-workers, even friends. And for decades, Gary Ridgway lived among thousands of people, while hiding one of the darkest secrets in criminal history.